Zupaya, there is only metro.
Alkoholizm bish naroda. Nasz woziam bish bira. Welcome to the Sunday Movie Marathon. Very sorry about that botched Russian introduction there.
What did you say?
I tried my best. Alcohol is the scourge of mankind. Let's drink beer then. That was from Stalker. Love
How
that
beautiful.
movie.
Yeah, rewatched it a couple of days ago and it still holds up.
Yeah. While the football was on, everyone was yelling. So
yeah,
that's exactly the kind of environment you want around you when you're watching a movie like Stalker.
That's exactly what Chris said. He said, "Oh, I can't wait to watch this," and then my parents and family be screaming from the other room.
Yeah, so Italy scored during the bit where they're walking down that like really dingy like sewer tunnel sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
And that was when my dad started screaming, like during the tensest bit of the film.
Yeah, it's like a real point of tension. Damn, yeah. Well, we lost.
Damn right we did.
Hell yeah. I didn't watch it. I don't care about football. I don't care.
No, I think we should skip over this bit.
Sorry.
I would like to be a fan of football, but it's just the other fans of football that ruin it.
They suck.
Because I don't think the game's actually that bad. Like I find it kind of interesting, but the fans are just so cunty. I just can't do it.
Yeah. They're a bit much. They were a bit much after this game.
After this
As
game,
we've seen.
I think it's just highlighted it really more than it's almost as if everyone was ignoring it until now. They went, "Oh shit, we are really bad people."
Oh, this one was the worst one. This one was actually pretty bad, guys. We should do something about it. No, I'm pretty sure it happens all the time.
To be fair, I don't think it's ever been to quite the extent this time.
No, it feels a bit more. People are literally being thrown in the Thames. It's horrible.
Leicester Square and London being destroyed, pretty much.
It's literally like some dystopian future. It's like the weirdest shit I've ever seen. Apocalyptic kind of fucked
You
up.
think this happened in like Denmark when they lost? You think they did that kind of thing? I don't think so.
Sore losers, I think is the right term of phrase.
We are.
Sore winners as well.
Oh,
sore
God,
winners, sore losers.
we really are.
Just sore people.
Yeah. There's like that statistic where like beatings against women are just like more likely to increase when the football's on. Not even like when we lose or when we win, just when it's on.
Yeah,
it's horrible. It's so sad. Get your act together. Anyway, this is a movie podcast and I want to talk about it for more than we need to. I didn't even
talk
watch
about
it.
something fun.
Let's talk about something fun. I got my vaccine. Hooray!
Hooray.
As I said in the last episode, it was fine. Really quick, really efficient. I didn't have any side effects either. So it just went about my day. I was like, this is my day now. I have to like book like an entire day to myself just to like get this vaccine just in case something happens. Like if I like feel like weird afterwards. I was just fine, and then afterwards I just kind of sat in the house like, okay, what now? I didn't account for this, but yeah, all good. Very efficient. Got to commend the lovely men and women of the NHS. We love them.
Yeah.
Woo!
Anyway, how you guys been?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
It's been a week.
It's been a week.
Yeah, nothing has really happened.
No, I was going to say,
either of us in the last
it
week.
feels like a week that has not really been a week, you know?
Yeah, for me, it's like, it doesn't even feel like a week since we last recorded. It feels like it's been a couple of days. It feels like we watched these movies like yesterday.
I actually was surprised when Chris said that he wanted to record tonight because I thought, what day is it? And then I actually had to look what day it is, but I don't know if that's because I'm now working on a schedule of like not having to be in on days. So I'm like, oh, it's Tuesday. I thought it was Wednesday. I've lost it. I've completely lost it.
Well, hopefully we can get it back on track, eh?
Yeah, restrictions lifting tomorrow.
Is it?
As
No,
of
it's Monday, isn't it?
yeah, when this comes out, it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah.
As of tomorrow.
How
Time
about that?
traveling.
We time travelled
Yeah,
just to tell you that it's all off tomorrow. We could go around spitting
Yes.
in each other's faces.
Yes, it's Freedom Day tomorrow.
yeah, we can
Exactly.
do anything we want with no repercussions.
Yes, because COVID doesn't exist after Monday.
We'll feel just like football fans. Oh, I wasn't going to mention it. Damn it. Anyway,
Cursed.
we were going to talk about some Russian movies. We watched some Russian movies. We went around my house. We watched them all, and they are of certain qualities. Each of them separately unique in their own way. But before we talk about that, we wanted to talk about perhaps the most Russian movie that Chris and I saw. Of course, that being the new Marvel one, Black Widow, directed by Kate Shortland. And this came out like 3 years after it was supposed to, or something, like 2 years after it was supposed to. So
Yeah, it's supposed to come out early 2020. Now it's here.
yeah.
Apparently, they didn't even like do any post production work or anything in the year it was delayed. They literally finished it like last March and have sat on it ever since.
Is that because of the pandemic?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
obviously because of COVID, it had to be delayed. It was meant to come out last May.
Yeah.
Obviously, because of COVID, it comes out now, but they literally haven't done anything to it.
I thought
No,
they
well,
would have.
when it's finished, it's finished. Yeah.
Yeah, but would you not have like put it out? Because there was a lift at one point, wasn't there? Like around the summer, or did they just not think
enough.
it was worth
Yeah,
doing?
they didn't want to risk it because obviously in America, things haven't really changed until now. They've pretty much been in lockdowns on and off. There's pretty much been like, although cinemas have been open, no one's really been going to them. That's why Tenet was such a big failure for Warner Brothers.
Yeah. We got Tenet instead, which I do like, but maybe not the best time to release a big blockbuster.
No.
But yeah, we saw it. We saw it with Connor. What do we think of it?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's
Yeah, it
not
was good.
one of the best Marvel movies, but
Not one of the worst.
it's just like fun to be back seeing a Marvel film. Like there's just fun popcorn stuff. Like
yeah.
nothing you have to think too hard about. Just nice to switch your brain off and just enjoy a film in a cinema.
Yeah. I saw it again yesterday as I'm speaking because Robin wanted to see it, friend of the podcast. So she really enjoyed it. I don't love it. I think it's fine. I think I have a lot of problems with it. But overall, I do have a good time with it. It is nice to be back at the cinema, seeing a Marvel movie. Sometimes they can be a bit hit or miss for me.
Yeah.
But I think just the experience of being in a packed theatre, and especially just being there with friends, seeing this big spectacle thing, I've missed it. I definitely have.
Yeah. I like a lot of the characters in the movie because obviously you got Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, played by Scarlett Johansson, who has been in loads of Marvel movies before but never had her own solo movie. And I feel like this just kind of proved that she could have easily had a solo movie years and years ago. Like she really can carry a movie herself.
Oh yeah, she's like one of the best actors in the MCU.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
definitely.
I think she's fantastic. Yeah, I wish they'd have done it sooner. I wish they'd have done it like maybe like after Iron Man 2 or like after the Avengers we could have gotten the Black Widow movie, but I don't know why they didn't do it. I don't know why. They were all sat on their like white men that they needed to get out of the way first.
Yeah, so obviously Kevin Feige is the big head of the MCU, the Marvel Studios now, but during the first phase and maybe a bit of phase 2, they had another guy who apparently didn't want any representation in a big movie. He only wanted to have white people because Kevin Feige supposedly was pushing for a Black Widow and Black Panther movie right from the beginning, and this guy was like shooting it down, saying no one was going to want to watch those films, that we just needed like Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, all the white people.
It's stupid. I don't really understand the mindset, honestly. It feels like such a weird weird thing to think. Sure, like, it's so weird. We're in like 2021 now. We're only just getting the Black Widow movie, and sure, we got like Black Panther and we got Captain Marvel, but like even so, they were only in like the last couple of years. And I do think that Black Widow is better than those movies. But maybe I like this character. I've always liked the character, and like she's always been like delegated to like a smaller role. But in this, we actually see her. Here's one of my problems with the movie is I think we could have gotten maybe a bit more from Natasha Romanoff as a character, because it's mainly about like her dynamic with her family and her sister mostly. We get to see Florence Pugh as the role of Yelena, her sister, and she's a fantastic actor. I love her so much.
Yeah, I really love her.
Guaranteed if she's in a movie or in a role, she's going to nail it, and she really did. She was like one of the best parts about that movie. So much so that I almost feel like it's slightly like it stops being the Black Widow movie and it starts being like her movie along with Black Widow, you know?
Yeah, I definitely feel like they're trying to set her up, because obviously in the MCU at the moment, Black Widow is dead. So I feel like they're going to try and make Florence Pugh more of a mainstay character.
That's what it feels like. Yeah. But I do like the cast. I wish, like, you know, you got like Scarlett Johansson, obviously. You got Florence Pugh. You also got David Harbour and Rachel Weisz. Both really good actors. I really like them a lot. I just got the feel, and then like you got Ray Winstone as the villain. I think we might go into a little bit of spoilers here, but honestly, I don't know if you could spoil this movie too much. Really, like not to like be down on it, but like not like it's not like a huge like things that happen. You know, it's just like this is a movie, and you watch it, and it's a Marvel movie. You know, and it is pretty good. The villain, played by Ray Winstone, I didn't really get much from him. I don't think he was very... Not that he wasn't good, but I don't think he had much to work with. He was in like 2 scenes.
Yeah. I thought he kind of sucked, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like another problem I have with the movie, is that like you couldn't just hire like some Russian actors. Why you have to get like these British and American actors to like play these roles? And I get it's like the star power, but like even like the villain, like couldn't he have been a Russian actor? Like, you couldn't have got like a few people in.
It's just like the Kenneth Branagh and Tenet all over again.
Yeah, exactly. And then like I looked at like the Daredevil show, they actually got like Russian actors to play Russian people. Like, there's no reason you can't do these things.
Exactly.
There's no shortage of really great Russian actors.
Yeah. I think probably my favourite new character in the film was David Harbour's character. Obviously, he's one of the big characters in Stranger Things. And this is, I think, the only thing I've seen him in other than Stranger Things. And I think he was like really, really funny and charismatic. He was like pretty much the comic relief in the film. And I think he did it well, while also having like a level of heart to him, which kind of was shown more and more as the film went on, which I liked quite a lot. Yeah,
I like him a lot. I like him a lot in the movie. Sometimes the comedy, he is a kind of a comic relief character. Sometimes that could grate on me a bit. I don't like get so much out of the comedy in these Marvel movies. This is like, I've noticed it on like the second go round. It's just kind of really laced with it. Whereas I wanted it to be a bit more grounded and like have a bit more like realism to it. I know it's a lot to ask when like you're watching a Marvel movie, but I expected it kind of to be more like this spy thriller type of thing. It's kind of in the vein of like The Winter Soldier, where there isn't that much comedy in that movie. It's just like it's just tight, you know. Whereas this, you know, I do like David Harbour, but perhaps he could lean a bit too far into the comedy at certain points, and that kind of goes for like a few of the other characters as well. And that's really not the fault of the actors themselves, but more to do with the writing and the way that they do shoehorn in comedy in these Marvel movies. But he was really fantastic. I do like him as like this kind of, what was his like superhero name? He was like a Russian superhero.
The Red Guardian.
Red Guardian, yeah. He was like trying to relive his glory
Russian
days.
Captain America.
He's like, I fought Captain America, and then like a guy's like, oh, well, you say that, but he was frozen in the ice when you said that you fought him. It was like, you're calling me a liar, so he just breaks the guy's hand. It's really funny. But he puts on such a fantastic performance. I think he can be, like, he does nail the more emotional parts when he needs to. I just think he's, a really good actor, and I would like to see him in more other than, like, Stranger Things in this.
Yeah, definitely. I liked him a lot in it. What do you think about the action sequences? Because I'm kind of hit or miss with them. I feel like some of them are really good, and then some of them are kind of rough, mostly like ruined by the special effect work, which can at times be really bad.
Yeah. Hand-to-hand combat, really good choreography. Sometimes it could be bogged down by like really quick cutting. Like the editing was kind of poor in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'd be like, just hold on this shot. Just hold on it. Like there's a scene where Natasha goes into the house to see her sister. And what I kind of wanted from that was like a one shot. Like she goes into through the door. You could do like a one shot from the stairs up to the point where she turns a corner and she sees her sister. But they just cut around so much. I'm like, you don't need to do that. I feel like it would have been more tense and more gripping to have it be that one shot so you get her perspective and you see her when she sees her. But I don't think that it kind of... I think the cinematography, although I find it better than some of like the earlier Marvel movies, where like I always complained about like the grey color palette and like the just boring cinematography. It can be better than those. It's not like grey. It's got like flashes of color, you know, and it looks like clean. It looks really clean, apart from some of the CG. But yeah, I think I would have wanted more from it, really. And the CG in like, there's always got to be like this big ship that falls from the sky at the end. Yeah. There's always got to be like a big explosion. There's like shots where like they're running and like an explosion is going off in the background. It's so cliche and it looks awful. Like worse than you'd expect for a Marvel movie. I'm like, wow. Like I'm really taken out of this. It looks like it's just they shot it in a green screen room.
Yeah, there's a bit where Florence Pugh's character like puts like a giant stick or something into a helicopter blade and the whole thing explodes and she's like flying backwards in slow motion. You could literally see the strings pulling her. They haven't even cut them out. And all the explosion effects look so bad. Like I can't remember the last time I saw a fire or explosion CGI that looked this cheap. And I don't understand why that's not something they could have worked on over COVID. Like surely that's something that the artists could have done remote from home. Like over the year, it's been delayed.
You would think. Yeah, I don't know what was going on with that, honestly. They were like falling through the air, and I'm like, okay, one thing you could do to just make this a little bit nicer is like light the characters' faces correctly, but it's like the lighting on them when they're falling through the sky never changes, and they're like holding on to each other. There's no like shadows hitting their faces from like where you think a shadow would be in terms of like where the sun is and where the explosions are happening. I just feel like that was kind of lacking, like weirdly lacking. I don't know why.
Yeah, it just kind of feels lazy in a way. It's a shame. Something else I also really didn't like was the opening credit sequence, which was actually awful.
Oh,
it's
God,
like it's like almost like a documentary of all these like clips of real life like events and interspliced with the Red Room training sequences, and over it's this really dramatic, terrible cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit, and it's just so cringy and embarrassing. And it's a shame because it comes after what I think is a really, really great opening sequence. I really loves the whole opening, like the introduction to Natasha's family and all of that stuff. I think it's great, and it just goes into this really embarrassing credit sequence.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good, that first part. Oh, you're not really sure what's going on. I like didn't even know who Natasha was in the beginning. But obviously you do find out that it was like the one who's like defending her sister. I loved all of that. It was so like high tension. You didn't really know who these people were in the beginning, but like you're just on board as it gets going. They're like on a plane, and like David Harbour's hanging off of the plane. It was awesome. And then yeah, they ruined it. It is a shame. It is a shame. I love like like I said, like about the cinematography, I do think this looks better than like some of the more standard Marvel movies. I love the like when they go to different places. I love the way that Norway looked when she went to Norway. I just think there's like a lot of like lush greenery and like backgrounds that they can use for Norway. I don't know if it was shot on location. I don't know, but it looked like, I wasn't really in doubt, you know. It just looked like very nice, kind of like cold, and like the air was just, it looked very like watery, you know, very damp, and yeah, just stuff like that. I really enjoyed. I do go to like Budapest as they say, and that looked, yeah, it looked good. Definitely better than like a Civil War or like some of the or like the early Avengers movies, I guess. It looked clean. It looked nice.
Have you got anything else to add to the film? Are you good to get into the marathon?
I want to say like a couple of things. Like Rachel Weisz and Scarlett Johansson kind of look the same age, but like, yeah, I know they're not, but like it was kind of weird when like she hadn't really aged that much, like from when she was a child. Rachel Weisz, that was weird.
Yeah, she's aged really well, to be fair.
Oh yeah.
So you would have thought that they would do like maybe a bit of makeup or something to make her look a bit older. But obviously, David Harbour, like in the early scenes, looks really young, doesn't have a beard or anything, and then later on he looks very bescraggled with long hair and a beard.
Yeah, loads of tattoos. I love his look. He looks so good. There's like a Mulan scene where like there's an avalanche. They cause an avalanche at a prison. I was like, this is straight out of Mulan. And it all looks like the CG looks pretty bad.
Yeah, it especially looked bad in that scene.
Whew. Shame. I'm going to go into like a brief spoilery bit because I thought this was really strange. There's like a part where Natasha is told that she has like a chip in her head and that she can't kill Ray Winstone, who like owns the Red Room and like basically like set her up as the Black Widow, and owns all the Black Widows, who can kill everyone and everything if he so deigned it to be. And like her mother, Rachel Weisz, is just like, yeah, there's a chip in your head, just make sure that like you break it so that you can kill him, because otherwise like it won't let you kill him. And she's like, yeah, okay, I'll just do that. And so she smacks her head against the table, thus breaking the chip, and then she attacks Ray Winstone. And I'm like, you've been like out of this Black Widow program for quite a while now. Like all that time you were like doing your own stuff, fighting with the Avengers. Nobody smacked you in the head really hard ever.
Yes, well, what it is if she can smell his pheromone, she can't attack him. And she has to like sever the nerve in her nose or something. So she has to break her nose.
Yeah. Nobody ever did that.
It's really
ever.
dumb.
It's so stupid.
Maybe if it heals, then she smells him, she can't do anything again. I don't know. They don't really explain it, but it's really dumb regardless.
I did like at the end credit scene where like Yelena's at her grave, like this woman from one of the TV shows comes up to her and she goes, "Oh, don't you want to know? Want to go after the guy who killed your sister?" And then she shows him a picture of Hawkeye on an iPad, and then like it ends, and then a girl in front of us said, "Oh, I'm not having that."
Yeah, there was also someone behind us crying during that whole sequence as well.
They forgot she died. Yeah. Good movie. I like it. like it enough to see it again, I guess. Should we go on to ratings?
Yeah, sure. I probably wouldn't see it again. It was fun. Fun little time waster. Like I said, not one of the best MCU movies, but far from the worst. Kind of sits in the middle for me. I enjoyed it for what it was, but it's not like a super deep, incredible experience like some of them can be. So I give it like a 6 out of 10.
Yeah. Same. 6 out of 10. Decent. So we got the marathon that we did, all the Russian movies, the real Russian movies this time. They're not as good Russian movies as Black Widow, but, you know, decent enough, I guess. And we'll start off with, we all picked one. And you want to introduce yours, Chris?
Yeah. So I picked the film Russian Ark, directed by Alexander Sokurov. This is it's a very strange film. It's a very hard film to describe. But basically, it doesn't really have much of a plot. The film, basically, you're from the perspective of this person who regains consciousness and starts walking around this museum, the Hermitage Museum in Russia, and you're basically guided by a character who is just labelled as the European, who is a French guy who's basically taking you through this museum, showing you all the things inside there through a mixture of reenactments of pieces of history. So you're basically, it's almost like a museum tour with reenactments, kind of, but it's much more than that. What did you guys think of this movie?
It was bloody good. Bloody good movie. I really liked it. And I did watch the documentary that you recommended, Chris, about like the making of it. Oh my god. You see, like the lengths they went through to like get this, and it's one shot, and it's like, okay, if we don't get it on the fourth try, it's not getting made, and it's literally like we can't do it anymore, and it's all gone. And like they got hundreds and hundreds of people dressed up in like costumes that they had to pay for, they had to make, and, like loads of like makeup artists, all these extras, and like the Hermitage like gave them this one day to film it. If they didn't get it done, they were like, oh yeah, some of the batteries died. It's like, really? Really? Like your batteries died? Why was this a problem for you? But luckily they did get it, and Jesus Christ, the movie's great. I will say this, I think it's a lot to do with like Russia as a country. I think it's a lot to do with the culture of Russia, especially like through the ages. There's like it is hard to describe what's going on because the plot is so like it's very strange what's happening. You don't, and a lot of the time I was like, what is happening? What is the story here? Because it's basically just like, it's like a video game, like going like in first person. I just felt like I was playing like Dishonored or something, where like he's just going through this museum and being guided by this guy who's just talking sometimes a bunch of nonsense, because I'm just like, well, what is happening? But I think like what I got out of it was like, I thought they had died, and I thought everyone in there was dead, and I thought that maybe they could interact with some people, but some people they could not, because perhaps they were too far dead to talk to them. And I think that they were, or at least the main character who was behind the camera and who talks sometimes, was perhaps a casualty of the Second World War, I think.
Yeah, possibly. What did you think of it, Darcy? You've not said anything in ages.
I know, I feel like I'm not even here anymore. I mean, I've I don't actually know.
Takes your breath away.
It was really nice. It was a nice film. I think I enjoyed it the most. Well, not out of you guys, I mean, in the terms of the three that we saw. But I mean, I don't really know what to say about this film. It's, I feel like it's the film that you need to see to understand why it's indescribable.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. It's not although I feel like plot-wise it's kind of simple, it really isn't at the same time. I think the film is just beautiful, and there's like one shot throughout the whole film which is I feel like the most impressive thing about it, the fact that they've managed to do all of this in one singular take, in one shot, and it just looks incredible. The composition of every frame, the blocking, it's so fantastic. Everything you can just tell is so carefully plotted. It's incredible how much detail was put into this movie, and it really shows all throughout.
This guy he's following is like amazing. He's like,
I loved him.
He's so flamboyant in the way that he moves. He feels like he knows everything, and he's just kind of guiding this guy along, and he's talking to different people. He's like talking to like the women in the museum and like dancing with them, and that's all really funny. I found him to be just a class act. I really loved him, and I love how he's able to do so much with this character in this just one shot. It's almost like, because it is one shot, you feel maybe he wouldn't be able to do as much with the character, but they show him so much. He's clearly like a master of his craft to like understand like his points that he needs to hit, the places that he needs to walk to, what he needs to say. He never forgets a line, and if anyone forgets even a line, they're fucked, and they have to stop it, and they have to cancel the movie. But everything works. Everything is so good about it. One thing I will say is, perhaps because it is so steeped in Russian culture, because it doesn't rely so heavily on characters to drive the plot forward, maybe that took me out of it a bit, where especially in like the former half of it, where I didn't really understand what was going on. I was kind of annoyed by it, and luckily that feeling was gone by the end of it, but I think that emotionally it didn't really hit for me. Yeah,
that's fair. I don't think it's really like an emotionally charged movie anyway. It's kind of like a spectacle, kind of. You're experiencing all these things, being told about all these things and seeing it all, and just kind of you get what you get out of it. Maybe you'll watch the film and think it's just incredible, beautiful experience. Maybe you'll watch the film and think it's just boring. And I can kind of see how you could find it boring and slow and not really think there's much to it. But I personally thought this was just an incredibly well-made movie. Something I also found very, very impressive about it was supposedly, obviously because the director has to direct everyone to move and like tell everyone what to do, they didn't actually film the video and audio together. They filmed all the audio separately. So obviously they got all the actors to record their lines separately, perfectly synced up to where they're saying it. Obviously perfectly recreate like the reverberation in their voice, like using effects. And like knowing that, the sound design and everything is just incredible.
That's insane.
Like they just nailed it. Like you would never be able to tell that it's separate at all.
I couldn't tell.
Jesus.
No. It was
so
all really
seamless.
well done. Very seamless. I like the part where they go, like there's a door and the guy's like walking towards the door, and the guy's like behind the camera and he's like, "Not that door, sir, don't go through that door." And the guy's just like, "Oh, but I like it." So he just goes through the door and like it opens up and they go in and it's like black and white. It turns black and white, very monochrome colouring, and it's just like this room where all the windows are open and it's snowing in there, and it's just like filled with like coffins, and there's a guy there who's like, "Ah, yes, I made my coffin." Oh, whoa, this is crazy. I think it was to do with like a blockade that happened in World War II. Yeah, that's what I got from the documentary. It was so well done.
Because obviously, where this museum is so steeped in Russian history over like centuries, I feel like most of the rooms and people they encounter are from different historical like times in Russia. So obviously that bit, you got World War II, there's so much from like the 18th and 19th century, which is really great. The film ends with this really great dance sequence, which is a recreation of a gathering that happened in 1913, which marked the final ball that was ever held there. And it was actually, they used the same ballroom where this gathering happened, and supposedly the room had not been used for dancing ever since. So like no one had danced in that room ever since, which is pretty crazy.
And it's so pretty. It's such a lovely looking movie. Like, yeah, just everything about it works. The costumes are just beautiful. And with that added information that they haven't danced in it since like for so long, and then they use that to do that, it kind of adds this extra layer to it, where I think it is a lot about, as I said, the culture, and to bring that culture back is also like just fantastic, and it's jaw-dropping.
I love the music throughout, which is incredibly subtle and atmospheric. Like there's a lot of usage of like fairly quiet, quite discordant string sounds, which is quite eerie throughout, especially in the earlier parts of the movie before you really get into the bulk of the museum, where it's quite dark and a little bit creepy and strange. I think it's all really great. And obviously, as the film progresses, there's pieces of classical music as well, which add this very, very classy element to the film, which I think is just really beautiful.
It is, yeah. And that, like, you almost feel like the camera work could probably, like, slack in places, but it kind of didn't. It was all really well done. I keep saying that, I'm sorry. But yeah, it all looked really good. And, like, it's just this guy with, like, a camera strapped to him, a Steadicam, and he's got, like, these huge batteries that weigh, like, I don't know, he must be carrying like 50 kilograms worth of stuff on him, or maybe even more. And he just had like these people, like a couple of people behind him, like, who I guess it was like, I think he was the DP. It felt like he had to be the DP. Yeah. And then I guess the director was behind him as well. It's just like, oh man, there was like a point in the documentary where he said, I just want to give up. And then like he goes into like the ballroom where they're dancing, and he is just like spurred on to keep going. So it's like in that moment could have all been over, but it was just so, like he said, it was so beautiful that like it gave him like an adrenaline kick, and it kept going.
Yeah, the thing with these like one shot sort of movies is you have to be like a really, really talented cinematographer to make it look great, to make like so many bits of it look very memorable. Because obviously you're moving around so much, it's going to be difficult for you to get what could be like a really great shot in a other movie. There's a film called Victoria, I think it is, which is also similar to this. Like, it's one take. It's over 2 hours long. It's like a thriller movie as well, so there's like a lot of action sequences. And although that's impressive, I don't think visually it looks that great. Whereas this film, even though it's just one continuous take going all throughout this museum, it looks beautiful. Every single room looks incredible. All the like costumes and everything are very, very glamorous. The bits of like set design that they did, the very brief bits that they brought into the museum, all look incredible. The fact that they had to pull all of it down and put it up regularly, all fantastic work, I think.
Yeah. Makes 1917 look like a pile of shit.
As most films do.
I know it's not the same, in basically anyway, but it is going for a one shot. And Jesus, this is so much better. Obviously, it is a one shot. But yeah, I guess I agree with you, Chris, in the fact that like it's not supposed to be like, it's not trying to like pull any heartstrings, it's not trying to be super emotional, it is more about the craft. But I do need that in a movie, honestly, and it can't be just like, wow, this is really spectacular. That's great and all, but for me, I need a bit more. I think that was like the only kind of problem I had with it. Like I had like a couple of problems with like sometimes there's like a weird perspective shift where like the background is being pushed away as the guy moves closer. That like made me sick. That was kind of like sickly. I didn't really like that. It didn't happen a lot. Like maybe once or twice, but
I actually liked
was
that.
a bit.
I found it very disorienting, and it like just randomly shows you just how like grand and like full of scope the museum is. But I completely understand why you wouldn't like it. Like I said, it's very disorienting.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like if we're supposed to be doing like a POV type of thing, like vision doesn't work like that. So like when it happens, I'm kind of taken away from the fact that we're supposed to be viewing this museum through the eyes of a man.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't have loads to say, honestly. I just think it's really solid, really well done. I like that they kind of hint at kind of what's happening, but like you put your own thoughts and feelings into it. There's like a part where he says to the guy who's guiding him around, "Do you recall the taste of food?" And he says, "No, I don't remember." So I'm thinking that was like when it kind of clicked for me. I was like, these guys are definitely dead. There is no way that they're not dead now. Yeah. There's a part where like I think the owner of the museum, the actual owner, was like in the movie, and he was talking to some guys. They're playing a character in the movie, and they were talking about like, oh, they want the oaks, they want the oaks, the oak trees without acorns, and they want the product, but not to see how it's made. And I think it was something like that. I took that as like looking at like the spoils of war, the people like you come back from the war like, oh, we won, look at that. But like, how do we get this rich, or how do we have all these things if not for like the suffering that everyone endured during the war? Everybody like loves it, like being patriotic and all that, but like look at what it took.
Yeah, definitely.
And then there was a fantastic part at the end, like right at the end, where he said, "We are destined to live forever." That cut deep, man. That cut.
Yeah. Their quote is, "The sea is all around, and we are destined to sail forever, to live forever." Really beautiful line.
Calls to thinking like mortality, obviously. Like if you're not thinking about it throughout the movie, you definitely are at that line. It's like, when like you do get people who think they'll live forever. Like, sure, we all think we'll die. We're all gonna die. But at the end of it, like a lot of people think, yeah, but I'll carry on. It's like, I'm not, I don't want to get like religious up in here, but it's like, I just don't think that's going to happen, And like the way he says it, and he goes out into this like weird monochrome abyss, it's like, you really want to live forever though? Do you? Because it looks horrendous.
Yeah. Do we have anything else to add to it? Are we good to go to the ratings?
I'm good to go.
Yeah. What should we rate this one out of then?
Coffins. There's a room full of coffins.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. I thought this film was really incredible. Just a really singular experience. I can't think of any other movie I've ever watched quite like this. Yeah, I would highly recommend it to everyone. It is actually on YouTube, so you can watch it for free. It's a really great movie. I'm going to give it 10 coffins out of 10. Thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, nice. I did get the DVD straight afterwards as well.
Yeah, so did I.
It was so good. And I do want to watch it again, and maybe my rating will go up. When I do watch it again, perhaps it will. I feel like it will. I feel like I almost feel like I've underrated this a bit, but I'm going to give it an 8 coffins out of 10 for now, I think.
Despite not saying anything for the past 4 years. Honestly, I did really like this film. I just don't have a lot to add in terms of the experience that it gave me, because it's almost as if I don't know how to describe what it was, because it was so unique. Like I very rarely ever watch a film and not know what has happened. Well, not what has happened in it, but like why I like it, or like what's happened, or to me anyway, like my experience of it. It is a really, really beautiful film. All the colours are lovely. The sets are lovely, even though it's like just one building, but it's really nice. If you're a bit like me and you just don't know anything about movies, maybe watch it if you have the patience to watch it. It's not even that long, so I appreciate that. But I'd give it an 8. But I just recommend watching it so you can understand what I'm talking about, really.
I'd love to go to the museum they filmed it in. It looks incredible.
I would. I was actually saying that, like, nearly from like the third room in, I was like, I want to go here. Like, it's just a nice film. It's nice to look at. If you're not going to do anything else because you don't want to watch a Russian film, just look at it.
Yeah, just take a gander. Okay, on to my recommendation now. I picked. I felt like we couldn't have a discussion on Russian movies without talking about a movie from one of the great Russian directors, and just probably one of the best directors who's ever lived, in my opinion. Being Andrei Tarkovsky, and the movie I picked was his debut feature, I believe. It was from 1962. Pretty old, but it's called Ivan's Childhood, and it's a war movie. It's about World War II, and it's about a kid called Ivan, and he's like 12 years old. He's like a spy, I think, and he's crossing like enemy boundaries, and he's trying to collect information. And then it's basically about his life in the war. Some soldiers take him in, some Soviet soldiers, and they take care of him. And I think it's basically about, it's like not loads does not happen. It's quite sparse on like plot, but I think it's more about like him and his experiences in the war in his childhood. It was based on a book. I don't know if it was based on a true story. It feels like it might have been. But I think a lot of this is a real statement on war, as Tarkovsky is oft want to do, and you can tell he hates war. He hates war with his very being. And yeah, I thought this movie was maybe the weakest Tarkovsky movie I've seen, but given that it was his directorial debut, I would almost expect that. And even saying that, I do think it's a pretty great movie overall.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. Like you said, I don't think this is his best film. I've not seen all of his films yet, but out of what I've seen, this is my least favourite. For me, I feel like he hasn't really found his unique voice quite yet. Like, you go to a Tarkovsky film and you kind of expect this, like, almost like poetic melancholy. That's kind of what I get out of all of his movies. And although I do feel like that's here, at the same time, a fair amount of it I did feel like it's just a pretty generic war movie from this time. I didn't feel that all the time, but there are definitely sequences where I was like, yeah, this is something I've definitely seen done before, whereas I can't say that with any of the other movies I've seen by him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the only film I've seen by him, so I guess this is probably like a good place to start, isn't it? If you're thinking of, well, if I'm going off of what you two are saying, that this isn't like his best thing, that if it gets better from there, then this is a good place to foot.
I'd say this is probably his most accessible film.
I mean, I
don't know.
I actually, well, and then again, I haven't seen his other films, but I thought this one was all right. Like, I'm not opposed to like war films, but there was only it was really only the child actor that really kept me in it, though, to be honest. He was amazing.
He was really good.
Oh, he was so good. He was couture. Had some fine clothing. Really nice looking jumpers.
I actually forgot
dapper.
about his nice little knitted jumpers. I liked him.
Filled with sass all the time.
Yeah.
Talking back to everyone.
He was like, give me the phone. He just turns up at his place after crawling through a swamp. He's like, give me the phone, bro. I gotta make a call. But yeah, he was fantastic. He was like the standout, honestly. I guess it's easy to say that. I mean, he was a kid. He was like basically the only kid in the movie, but I got a lot from him. This like kind of innocence that he tries hard to repress. I think he wants to be like more grown up than perhaps he is, but I found that almost kind of sad in a way, that this war has kind of taken him to these places, and I said it was kind of like Come and See in a way, that it was about this like corruption of innocence, that it was about like he's going through all these things, he's lost his family, and in that he's grown up faster than he should have, and he's lost a lot. And I think like he's playing at soldier at one point, he's playing with a knife, like
because isn't he
it's a very childish thing to do. He's playing, you know, he's trying to be a soldier, but at the same time it's almost like as like an orphan of war. It's sad. It's a sad thing to witness, as like even like that scene, maybe it could have been like funny, but because of his circumstances, I found the whole thing pretty melancholy.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Come and See comparison. It's definitely nowhere near as fucked up and disturbing as that movie, but there are definitely bits that I did find kind of upsetting and distressing, especially towards the end of the movie. I feel like the last like 5-10 minutes are quite sad.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, it's fucked up. He sees like a guy in like near the beginning, and then like the soldiers like hunt him down and like take him back to where he's safe. He's like, I don't want to go here, and let me fight or something. And then like this guy has his chicken, and he looks through the door and he's crying, and he says, "Oh Lord, when will all this end?" And it's like, it's almost like a funny shot because he's just like stood there with this chicken, but it's still really sad.
Yeah, definitely. I think my favourite thing about the film is how it's shot. Like, Tarkovsky is a very visual director, and you can like tell that instantly that's something that he was always talented at. Like, every shot in this film looks so meticulously framed. There's so many just incredible moments. Like, obviously the bit where he's walking across the wreckage before he meets the chicken man, there's that shot of all like the sharp fragments of wood surrounding him, which is obviously used on the poster. That looks incredible. There's a shot in a scene I actually really didn't like, which we'll probably get to later, where there's like a army officer called Colin who picks up this girl over a trench and like makes out of her. That was a really great shot.
Horrible scene though.
Yeah, terrible scene. I hated that.
Made me uncomfy.
But yeah, that shot's great.
It is. There's a shot where like he's looking into the well, and the water's really far down, but you see his reflection in the well, and then he touches the water. It was like, whoa. That was like trippy. It was so good. And even then you see like Tarkovsky's obsession with water. He's obsessed with it. The mad lad, obsessed with all the water he can get in there, like crawling through the swamp. He's like, yeah, just like the water that like drips from like taps, or like, yeah, when they get like buckets of water, just like he shoots it so meticulously, and it does feel like when you see water in his movies, you're like, I feel how he feels about water.
Yeah, there was also a few bits that I liked whenever there's like something horrific or like some sort of action scene, as bare as they are. There's like a sudden like handheld like zoom that's almost like a Sam Raimi shot, where like they like hold the camera suddenly really quickly towards someone's face. I really liked them. It was like not what I was expecting from a Tarkovsky film at all.
No. Honestly, I was kind of like taken aback by like how high production it was. Like you got all these extras and all these actors in it. A lot of like crazy set design and like different things. I don't know if it was like actually there or like they filmed on location and these things were just there. But like, yeah, you got like the twisted metal, just like remains from like just like hunks of like metal. You don't really know what it is because it's like twisted into weird shapes. I'm just like, this is your first feature. Like, you got all this. It's actually amazing. It just goes to show like how competent he was like at such a young stage in his career. I think he really is one of the greats.
Yeah, even though this is my least favourite film from what I've seen, I can't deny how well made it is. Like, even though I don't think this is quite as well directed and stylistic as his other films, there's so much talent, obviously, here.
I've noticed, like, weirdly from all the movies of his that I've watched, he only ever has, like, one woman in his movies. Just like, I'll put one woman in this movie, and that's it. Okay. And then, like, in this movie, just sad to see that she's, like, abused.
Yeah. I guess he was saving them all till The Sacrifice, his last film, that had quite a lot of women in it. There's only, two men in the whole film, the rest of the people were women.
Who's keeping them in the back?
Yeah.
Christ. Like, there was, like, a weird but really cool shot where, like, Ivan's on this, like, apple truck, and he's on it with, like, is it like a child that he's on it with, like his friend, and like they're like picking out apples, and the apples are falling off the cart, and then like in the background it's like it was clearly filmed in like a green screen, but then it just like plunges into like this negative color scheme where like everything, all the colors invert, and it looks really weird but really cool.
Yeah, I also really loved the usage of lighting and shadows throughout. Like, there's multiple points where they're inside like the bases that they spend a lot of time in, where there's like it's all lit up by like candlelight or like tiny lights, and like characters will have these huge looming shadows above them, and I think all of that looks incredible.
Yeah, for sure. Like, he knew he was shooting in black and white. Sometimes you watch like older movies and it's like these guys really want to shoot in color, but they can't. But I think with Tarkovsky, he knows what he's doing. He knows he's shooting in black and white, and he uses that to his advantage, and it looks like a lot better for it.
Yeah, definitely.
There's like a shot of like when they're in the forest and like the girls being accosted, but all those trees look fantastic. It's like right at the edge of just these really tall white trees. I think like it's a nice contrast, I think, to the scenes where they are like in underground and they have to hide from the invading forces. It's just nice to have like that brighter aspect to the movie, even though like that was like one of the worst scenes. Like, in terms of, I don't even know if like I hated the scene, but I just hated what was going on in the scene.
So there's like an army general who's like harassing this girl, and eventually like picks her up and kisses her. And I feel like, for me, I just felt that scene was pointless. Like, even beyond the fact it was kind of creepy and weird what was happening, I just felt like it didn't add anything. It didn't need to be there. And I felt that quite a bit with any scene. Like, a lot of the scenes where Ivan wasn't there, like a lot of the scene with the soldiers and stuff, I just didn't care. And that was kind of the thing I liked the least about the film, I think.
At least it was somewhat consistent. At least he was pining over her the whole film.
Yeah.
Like, that last scene they're in is really funny.
What was that?
Absolutely embarrassing. When she says goodbye to him, and then he's like, oh, she's not here anymore. And then he, like, I don't know, chucks something or something because he gets upset.
That was funny, yeah. I do agree with you, Chris. I do think probably it should have been devoted entirely to Ivan. I think that kid was like such a good actor, and every time it wasn't on him, I'm thinking like
called Ivan's Childhood.
It's Ivan's Childhood, and like some of it, like half of it's not even about Ivan. But yeah, I think that kind of upset me a bit. I think they probably could have done more with him. I don't know. Maybe they had a limited time to shoot. Couldn't shoot with him in the night time. Who knows? But yeah, it did take me out of it for sure. Those scenes are like naturally just like a bit more boring when you're not with who you think is the protagonist. You know, like, why are we watching this? It didn't feel very necessary.
Definitely. I think possibly my favourite scene in the film is there's this sequence where it's like Ivan's alone in these bases underground, and there's like a bell ringing, and he starts like hearing and seeing people screaming, like It's almost like the real world, like what's actually happening, the horrors of wars, like suddenly crashing down on him, despite the fact he's like this young child who was like excited to go battle. I thought that scene was really great.
Yeah, it was just like terrifying. Hearing all these people screaming, and then like contrast that with like you said there was like real footage of like these dead kids at the end. That was horrible.
Yeah,
it was so sad.
Yeah.
It's such a sad, bleak movie. Like especially at the end, it's so sad.
Yeah, so like towards the end, Tarkovsky has like real footage of occupied Berlin, and there's like a shot where they show Joseph Goebbels, who was the Hitler's minister of propaganda. They show him, like his corpse, because he set himself and I think his wife alight, and there's like the bodies of his children who him and his wife murdered. It's a really horrible shot, like real life footage of that, and it's really horrible. It
is.
Alongside
like so much like visceral reaction from it. I'm like,
yeah,
it was really jarring.
God, yeah, it was horrible.
It fit because like the ending is just generally quite disturbing and depressing anyway. Because obviously you find out that Ivan had been murdered, and they like go through the rooms where he was like the room where he was killed, and you hear like there's like sound flashback. You don't see it. And I thought that was really creepy and interesting. I like the fact that you didn't actually see him die. You just like heard bits and pieces of it and like were kind of forced to fill in the blanks yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's great storytelling.
Yeah, definitely. Something else I didn't really like about the film was the music. I felt like a lot of it was really, really cheesy, just like generic 60s war music. Nothing I thought was very special at all.
Yeah, I feel the same probably. I liked a few pieces here and there, but it could be a bit hit or miss. I think it wasn't like I don't really remember it honestly.
Exactly.
Shame, because like the visuals are so stunning. You almost want it to be like you want to have that contrast with some really good music. Like I think of something like Stalker, which obviously made a bit later in his career, but the music in that is absolutely stunning, and I can remember that perfectly.
Yeah, obviously you said earlier the film was based on a book. I forgot to bring this up. It was based on a short story called Ivan by Vladimir Bogomolov. And Tarkovsky's like... Yeah. Tarkovsky wrote in his like memoirs that he wrote that he actually didn't like the book at all, but he found that stories that he didn't think were very well written were actually easier to adapt into films because you could kind of be creative with it and do something different with it.
Ouch. Kind of rude.
Zing.
Yeah.
But I find that's probably true though.
Yeah.
If you're more in love with a piece of literature and you want to adapt it, maybe you'd find yourself trying to be true to it, and maybe that could be a detriment. But if you do feel like you have more creative reign over it to try to turn it into something that maybe you would prefer, that's probably better.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I think you should remake bad films rather than remake good films, because you can just improve upon it.
You guys know that this film was the opening was shown on Cartoon Network one morning?
Yeah.
In like 2009.
I got that written down.
Harder.
Yeah. It was shown on Cartoon Network.
Yeah, they accidentally showed the intro because its signal got switched with TCM, who was meant to be airing the film at that time.
So does it say how long they showed of that?
It was. I think it was only the opening. I don't know how long of it.
It
can't have been long. Can't imagine it was more than like 2 or 3 minutes before they realised.
To be fair, luckily nothing really happens in the first couple of minutes that is like awful and horrible for children to see.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like so horrible for children like most of the way through, apart from like the end, where it is like horrific.
What I mean is like they don't see anything that's like going to scar them for life because they accidentally watched 2 minutes of this movie.
It's a PG, so obviously kids can watch it.
Oh, bloody hell. Good on them.
So, yeah, I don't think it's for kids though. Like Stalker's a PG.
Yeah.
Should you put a child in front of that? I don't think so.
Russian arcs are you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that film's...
But like they
Yeah.
rate these things on like how offensive they are, or like how, like if they've got like sex in it, then it's probably going to be more like a 15 or an 18. If it's got like swearing in it, it's probably going to be more like a 12 or a 15. Excessive swearing is like 18, which I don't really agree with, but I mean that's how they do it. And sometimes it's like it's not rated in terms of like who it's for, but it's more like who is it appropriate for, I guess.
The whole rating system's a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah, it sure is. We're not going to get into that here.
No.
I don't have too much to say on it. I just think
I've
it's
gone
good.
through
It's pretty
all
good.
my notes, so.
There's like, we're talking about like the production of it. There's like embers that fall from the sky every so often. And they're just like in the background.
so
You pick
good.
up on it. You pick up on it. But if you don't, then it's like maybe on a second watch you would. It's like just attention to detail. I just love.
Yeah, that's just Tarkovsky for you, though. He
It
always
is.
does shit like that. That's one of the reasons I love him so much.
Exactly. I love him. Love him so much. One of my favourites. And we'll do this one out of Sad Men with Chicken.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I like this movie. I would definitely watch it again because I really do like Tarkovsky a lot, and I've really loved all the other movies I've seen by him. So maybe this needs a couple of watches to really get into it. But I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's a very well made movie. Just definitely my least favorite of what I've seen. So I'm going to give it 7 sad men with chicken. Those two.
Chicken.
Yeah, out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked it. I liked it a lot. I got the Criterion. I'm excited to check out the supplements, and I will watch it again at some point. It's like you got to be in the mood though, because it is quite sad. Pretty much the same as you, Chris. I would probably give it a 7 sad men with chicken out of 10.
Pausing for dramatic effect. Yeah, no. I mean, based on this film alone, I want to say I would watch more of his films, but I don't know if I'd actually like them. But based on the fact that I'd look at him, Max is like wide-eyed. Do you know what, guys? I just don't have the patience to sit through these films.
Yeah.
I don't think it's nothing personal to him. I just can't do it. It didn't help that we have to watch 3 movies in a go. It really doesn't help. But I just don't have it in me. But I did like the film. This is the problem. It's almost as if I want to like these films, but my body's like, no, you must move.
Yeah.
You must do everything now.
Me knowing you, I feel like you'd have quite a hard time with the other films because they can be quite
Yeah.
slow at points.
Try watching Nostalgia.
I struggle really, really hard. Like I'm literally shaking my leg right now because I've been sitting down here for so long.
You have to really be in the mood for these kind of movies. You have to have the focus and attention span. Otherwise, I
Got
don't
to make
think you'll
sure
really
that it's
get
not
much
on
out
while
of
the
it.
Euros are on.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I mean, I am kind of glad that I wasn't here for that, but I was too busy watching that. I was showing my friend the Disney Marvel crossover because
The Simpsons one.
I just had to talk about how shit
Oh
it
yeah,
was.
we
So
watched
I
that as
made
well,
them-
didn't we? Oh.
I made them watch it, and they were like, "What the hell have I just watched?"
2 minutes of garbage.
But yes, yeah, I mean, all in all, I did like the film. Don't get me wrong. Sorry, I'm waffling now. I'd probably give it 7. What was it? Sad Chicken Men? No, Sad Man with
Sad
Chicken.
Man with chicken. Yeah.
I did like it though. Don't get me wrong. I just I'm not the right demographic to be watching it. At
Sure.
all.
Hey, at least you didn't decide that the game between England and Italy was a good time to start watching a Tarkovsky movie.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. So, on to the third and final movie.
Yes.
Which is absolutely hilarious, right? Because since the beginning, I've got up the film in the hopes that I would be able to pronounce the name of this director, and I've just decided out of respect not to even try.
Kazania Ratushnaya.
And I hope
Yeah.
that is how you say it, because I don't want to attempt it myself.
It's definitely,
It's
not how
definitely
you
not.
say it.
No, the K's probably silent
Yeah,
as
it's
well.
probably Senia or something.
Yeah, I just think it's just better off not
Senya Ratashnaya.
not to tread their
Senya
waters.
Ratushnaya.
Sounds about right.
So this film is actually from 2019, which I'm actually quite surprised about. I thought it was from earlier. It's a film called Outlaw, and it is the 4th LGBT movie to come out from Russia. It could be the 4th and final, as far as I'm aware, because it only came out like a year or so ago. But as far as I'm aware, this is one of very few LGBT films. So I thought it'd be quite an interesting watch. It's about a high school student who is a young gay teen who falls in love with a straight teen. They're both male. And there's another like sub-story about this soldier that falls in love with a transgender woman who apparently, that lady in the film, that is her debut acting role, and I feel really sorry for her because that film did her dirty. What do you guys think about this?
Don't forget there's also De Antwoord there in the movie as well.
De Antwoord's in there.
Oh yeah,
Russian De Antwoord.
Yeah. This film. This film. Something all right.
This film was, in my humble opinion, this is the worst movie we've ever talked about on this podcast.
Do you know what?
I hate it so much. I hate it with my very soul. And the reason I think it's the worst movie that we've talked about on the podcast is like, yeah, okay, like Chris didn't like Repo, Chris didn't like Shrek the Musical. He's a hater. But yeah, you know, like, sure, Puppy Star Christmas, that was like bottom drawer for me until I saw this movie. And the reason I think this movie is worse than Puppy Star Christmas is probably based on the fact that I don't get as much visceral hatred from Puppy Star Christmas as I do with Outlaw, where I just feel like it's an LGBTQ plus movie, but I feel like it hates everyone from that community. I feel like it hates gay people. I feel like it hates transgender people. Everyone I think it hates that aren't straight. It hates them. I get so much anger from this movie and it pisses me off. It's so unbearably bad for that.
So I saw this film on IMDb as I was just looking it up, so I literally just found this out like 10 minutes ago. But apparently the tagline is something along the lines of "Rebels never get to paradise" or something. And I thought, wait a minute. Is this meant to be a pro-LGBT film or not? Because it doesn't sound like they really are big fans of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah, from all the things I've read about it seems like it's supposed to be pro-LGBTQ, but it just doesn't feel like it at all. It feels like just so like offensive to anyone in those communities. It's like really, really mean-spirited. It's like the director, who is a female, feels like she watched a bunch of Gaspar Noé movies and didn't understand that there was a purpose to the way like those films are tonally, like the kind of disturbing, aggressive, visceral reaction that those films try and get out of you. It was like she didn't understand the purpose of that and was like, yeah, I can do that as well, without ever having anything meaningful to say. And it just came off of this massive hodgepodge of a bunch of things that just very directionless and just badly done.
I felt like it was more, if anything, I felt like it was more transphobic than anything else. Like every single scene with this soldier and this lady, the soldier was like misgendering her, and like when they would kiss, they can't really kiss because it's like so anti-gay in Russia, so they have to like put like fucking veils and cloaks over them and shit. It was just dumb.
Yeah. When he's like kissing her through the curtain.
Yeah,
what
like
the fuck was that about?
Is it that bad? Like, is it really like, if you're not gonna stand up for this like message that like soldiers and trans people can be together? I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say?
That's her story ends with obviously the soldier that she's sleeping with being murdered, and like that could be like a interesting commentary on the way that transgender people and LGBTQ people generally are treated in Russia. But after that, they then follow up with her like removing her makeup and like burning her dress, almost like to say that it's like a bad thing to be trans and you're just going to end up transitioning back to being like your birth gender because you're going to get depressed or something. It just felt very like, I don't know,
I felt like that
misguided.
defeated the point, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
if you are someone who identifies as someone who's transgender, I mean, obviously I don't know that first-hand experience, but I would assume you would be way more miserable being the person as you were formerly because that's not who you are. But apparently this experience was so bad that they were like, "Oh, just live as a man. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, the moral of the story is don't try to be something that we don't think you are.
Yeah, like the whole film, you're just seeing like how pain will like comes to people in these communities, like how you obviously have the main character who's gay and he's like in love with his friend and his friend gets like kidnapped and tortured, and it's like it feels very anti what it's trying to preach. Like it feels like
it starts off with like
on the one
orgy.
hand they've got like some sort of message where they're like saying why like this is a really bad place to be this way, but at the same time it's never like they're trying to fight that or argue against it. It's almost like they're trying to egg it on a bit.
Yeah, it starts off with like a massive orgy. So like Darcy's like, guys, this is the 4th Russian LGBTQ movie. It's going to be great. And it starts off with this massive orgy. We're like, what have you gotten us into?
Yeah.
Just people
It's
just
like-
fucking. They're just fucking.
It starts off with like it's a badly shot music video almost, with like
The
all
whole
these
movie
different
seemed like
shots of people sleeping with people like showing their weird kinks. Like you've got a guy who's like sleeping with a really fat old woman and like all this really weird stuff, and it doesn't like fit with what kind of message they're trying to put in at all.
I was so disappointed because I honestly thought, right, it takes quite a lot of balls, I would reckon, to make an LGBT film in Russia because of Russian ecosystem, so to speak. And I thought this could be such a cool film. And I thought that people didn't like it because it was an LGBT film. But it turns out it was just the worst fucking thing in the world.
Yeah.
There's,
You get out of the orgy. Deanne would go to Lidl. You just go to Lidl with a knife, and then the girl from Russian Deanne would just stabs a girl in the vegetable aisle. And we're like, okay. And she doesn't. She's like, oh, I'll take this vodka, and then she leaves, and then like it was like champagne or wine, and she just like goes outside. She's like, oh, my taxi's here. They like make her drop the bottle, but it doesn't smash. It just like lands on the floor, and I'm like, why'd you bother stealing it? Why'd you bother stabbing that woman in the Lidl?
Yeah.
Why'd you do it?
That sequence not only was pointless, but it's stupid.
Do you know?
Like, there's like a shot of the security guard watching on the TV, and he's just so calm and casual about it. It's almost like he watched it and goes, oh shit, it's happened again. Like, it's just so ridiculous. Yeah, he doesn't like do anything about it. There's no urgency to the fact that there's these two guys who've just stabbed someone in the throat. Like, surely he'd like jump up, call the police, like do something, but he just sat there doing nothing.
Do you know what? While you mentioned the whole like terrible music video ambience thing that was going on, because if you've ever seen it or want to see it, don't first off, but if you do, you'll see what we mean. But there's like that weird scene near the end where Russian DM this woman is torturing this guy and like randomly breaks into an English song, but it looks like a Marmoset's video or something. She's like singing into like this fucking like lamp thing.
Yeah,
And,
it's
what the fuck?
I said it was very similar to the In Dreams scene in Blue Velvet, where you've got the guy singing into this lamp, like to In Dreams by Roy Orbison, because it is quite similar to that.
It's so weird. I just feel like I know the film wasn't good, but for some weird reason, it was the only film that was also in English, so I don't really know what was going on there. It was just like, I don't think the girl even knew the words to the song, to be honest. I don't think she actually knew what was going on. She was just sort of like dancing around, like miming to something, but I don't think it was the song.
She was like, I really love this song. Can we put it in the movie? Yeah, sure. Oh, God. There's like the kid that the main character is in love with for some reason, even though he's a piece of shit and he bullies him. He's like, I like this guy. He like can't whistle for shit. He's like trying to whistle, or like I don't know if he is he trying to whistle. He's like,
yeah.
Or is he trying to hiss at people? Is he trying to whistle, or is he trying to hiss at people? We don't know.
It doesn't even sound like a hiss.
I don't know what you're trying to do. It's like
he's trying to whistle, but he doesn't know how.
He's just saying shush, basically.
He's next to his mate who has like CG tattoos on his face. They look awful.
Oh my God.
I couldn't tell if they were like real tattoos or CG because it literally looked like it wasn't like actually there.
Yeah, like they don't move, do they?
He was moving around and the tattoos didn't look like they were moving properly, or they were like not moving at the right speed or something, and it just looked really strange.
But I think they are real though. Like I've come to the conclusion that they're probably real, but they look really bad, and I feel. I mean, they're probably never going to listen to this. They probably didn't even care about their own movie. But that guy needs to get them removed because they just not.
They probably weren't real tattoos, to be honest.
I don't know. I mean, I want to hope that they're not. I'm sorry. I hope they're
if you're
not.
the kind of person who wants to star in this movie, I feel like you're the kind of person to get tattoos like that. There's like a plot point with like this teacher who's like a big nerd. You want to give him a swirly the entire time, but then it turns out he
looks like Louis Theroux.
He looks like Louis Theroux.
Oh.
Yeah, the Louis Theroux teacher.
The teacher man, yeah.
He was like sitting in an office with like the head teacher, I guess. But like she's got like all but 3 buttons done up, and then like she leans over the desk and like there's just this huge cleavage shot. I'm like, why is that there? And he like looks at it and he's like, no. And then at the end he's like, I'm gonna wear this dress, I'm gonna put on these high heels, this is me. And he just walks out. I'm like, why'd you do this in the school? Why are you walking, why'd you get changed in the school, and why are you walking out? Like why are you doing this? Like what spurred this on? I don't even know.
His plot, as minimal as it is, like, it really did not need to be in there. He's like, he knows the kid is gay, and he's like telling him, you need to hide it. You can't like let people know about it because you're just going to get in trouble. And it just seems like it's all leading up to him at the end being like, fuck it, I'm going to be who I am. So they dress up in like women's clothing and storm out.
Yeah, because he finds that bra, doesn't he? But like,
he puts it on over his shirt.
Yeah, like whose bra even was that? I don't know.
Just had it there.
He goes into changing rooms every so often. He's like, I can use that. Who knows what happens in this movie? Who knows, like, why the things that happen, why do they happen? Who knows? There's like a part where like it just cuts to like a scene where like they're hanging out in like a bedroom and it's like lit disgustingly and all the colours are so loud and just don't contrast well. It's too bright and like they're just fucking. Well, okay, while we're watching this and like the main character's there and he's like, I wish I was having sex with the guy who bullied me. Like, okay.
And that, like, in the same scene, that girl's sort of like riding on top of him, but he's wearing his jeans.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's confident enough to do this in front of a room full of people, but not confident enough to take my jeans off.
There's plenty of female nudity in the film, but no male nudity at all.
Yeah, because that's gay.
Just kind of shows that they kind of wanted to be daring, but not daring enough, where they would actually see proper repercussions, which kind of feels a bit cowardly.
Yeah. They can't emasculate them.
But if you go on IMDb, had to think about which letters were where.
I thought you just frozen.
I just don't know the letters. The tags on it are like male frontal nudity, male rear nudity, and I just looked at it and I thought,
you don't see that at all.
Yeah, this is just lies. The whole film is just a lie.
I mean, I guess there is that one bit where you see like there's like a TV screen that's showing porn and they've blurred it, but it's like it's completely visible what's actually happening. Like they barely blurred it at all to the point where there was no point.
To be fair,
why can you show us all this sex happening? You can show us, you can open your movie with an orgy and like just that's fine, but then like once it's on TV within the movie, like the characters are watching TV and there's sex on the TV, you have to blur that out.
Yeah.
Like why? It's not for the characters. It's not for the character. The characters aren't seeing a blurred TV because that would be stupid. It's for us. So why is it blurred for us when you've just shown us all the rest of this shit? It's so
the only
stupid.
thing I could think of is if it's like if they had downloaded porn directly from somewhere and it's, I wouldn't say like copyrighted, but they don't want to get sued for using someone else's footage maybe, but who would own up to owning it? I don't know.
I think
they use my porn.
It's probably because there's like maybe they have a ratings board in Russia and like you can't show any penetration or anything like that in a film.
Which is what happens throughout most of this. Maybe that's why he's wearing jeans. Maybe you're not supposed to see his willy. I don't know.
Yeah, they can have sex but can't actually show proper penetration. You get that with a lot of like in America you can't show penetration, otherwise the film will be like an NC-17 or will have to be cut. And it's kind of the same here in the UK, or at least it was for a long time. You couldn't show it even in 18 for years.
It's so childish. It's
People
so
have
petty.
sex. Get over it.
Yeah, like I hate this movie because of the way it depicts sex, and like you could go to like any other movie that depict. There are good movies that depict sex in a healthy way, or if you're trying to go for this kind of like more over the top kind of thing, like there are movies for that as well that handle it a lot better. I'm thinking about like stuff like Shame, like. That's a movie about like a guy with like a sex addiction, and like
Incredible
they show
movie.
it, and it's like it's pretty horrible, honestly. And they don't glorify it. And that's what I love about like those kinds of movies. Is like they actually have something to say. But with this, I just feel like they are using the LGBT banner as like a guise for like showing all this weird shit and like, hey, look at how these guys live. No, it's not. No one does this.
Even if you want to watch a film with the same sort of tone, like the same sort of trying to be shocking sort of thing, I'd recommend Love by Gaspar Noé, which I don't think is a great movie. I don't think it's very good at all, but it's far, far better than this film. Far more edgy and daring and exciting in every single way.
This does feel like glorified porn. Like they were like, oh, we'll make an LGBT film. It'll be sick.
It's like glorified porn, but they couldn't go all the way, so they just didn't try.
Just watch porn.
Yeah.
Just watch some porn.
It has the production quality of a bad porn. Like this film looks awful. Like
Tremendous.
there's multiple shots where it's like clear they've shot at a different frame rate and like either slowing it down or sped it up, and it just looks really off. There's like scenes where it literally looks like it was filmed on someone's phone rather than a professional camera. Like all the colouring and like any sort of colour correction they've done looks awful. The editing is all bad. Everything about it visually and just generally I think is terrible.
There's a part where Russian Deant would tie the bully up. That looks disgusting. He's like tied up and like he's like on a leash or like chained to the wall, and like the colours are just disgusting.
It's really
they're just
dingy.
too much. Yeah, it's horrible. There's like a scene where like a girl walks into a room and she just starts sucking a guy's dick, and then another guy comes in and like fucks her against the window. That was like what the fuck was happening there?
That was
who were these people?
That was the Ant-Bird.
Well, yeah, oh yeah, it was as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she has
She
like,
like sucks off her dad.
But what are these guys about? What is their
he's
story?
like a sugar daddy or something. Because he always goes, "I'm not your daddy." That's what he said.
Yeah.
So
She,
I don't
like,
think he's
calls him
actually
daddy.
her dad. Yeah.
He goes, "I'm not your daddy." But like, who
I know
are
the
these
film's
people?
fucked up, Chris, but my god.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past this film. Seems
I'm
like
just
the sort
thinking,
of
like,
edgy thing they try and do.
There's no character. There's no character here. Like, they showed Russian Deantwood, and they're like, yeah, these guys. Okay. Well, what are they? Well, who are they, and what are they about? Like, name me one like character trait. Like, they don't have any. They're just there to like be
any of the
provocative.
characters' names.
No, I don't know. There are no characters. There are no characters in this movie. There's like the main character who falls in love with a bully, and then like afterwards he realizes that like there's a scene where like the girl from Russian D'Antwood gets it on with the bully who she's chained up, and then like he loves it so much that he wants to stay there and be chained up, and he like waits for her to come back for the next day, and then the bully's like, I came here to get you, I love you, or some shit, and then like he's like, leave, and he's like got like a pair of shorts on, and that's it. He has no shoes, and then it's like he just runs away. The main character, he just runs away, and he's like, fine, that's it. And then he like goes to like the boxing club, but he holds on to like one of the boxing bags as he gets fucked up the arse, and that's how it ends.
Do you know what? I'm not gonna lie, that part was actually really funny to me, because he was just like, I don't know, it was just such a like
he looked so sad.
Of him just, yeah,
he was
yeah, the faces he was like, making were hilarious.
Just like sobbing whilst being like railed, and I was like, my God, man.
Relatable.
Like, it was such a terrible way to end his story, especially since, I don't know about you guys, but he was the only one that I even somewhat liked.
Nope.
No.
I said somewhat. I didn't say I liked.
No, I didn't even like him somewhat.
Hated
I
it.
thought every single character was incredibly unlikable. Everyone was a dick. No one had any personality.
They were all awful people.
Yeah. Honestly, this film feels like it was written and directed by a 14-year-old boy.
It feels like
Maybe
the
she is a
14-year-old.
The
14-year-old
fact
boy.
it was directed by a woman was like baffling to me, because this is so like just
Offensive.
childish.
It's just offensive in every way.
And it's not sexy.
No.
It's just awful. It's like
Cringy.
I'm sorry to use like all these like gratuitous like adjectives and like describing it so gratuitously, but it's a gratuitous movie and it doesn't care. It just really all it wants to do is just show gratuitous like sex and violence, and that's all it's about, and it's disgusting.
Yeah, it kind of felt like, you know, when films do that whole like shock value thing, like shocking for the sake of shocking. I just don't think they just did it, didn't they?
I don't think that's even always a bad thing. I think some directors can do it well, but I don't think this person can at all.
I hope this is their only movie.
It is so far. This was their directorial debut.
And getting very far after this, I'm sorry. This movie sucked.
Yikes.
Or maybe like this will just be like
It
just
could
a
be
really
learning
bad
curve.
debut, and she learns from it and makes something great. And one day we're like looking back and calling her one of the greats who had just a really terrible misstep at first.
And then everyone watches it
Proved
and
us wrong.
like, makes memes out of it because it's like
I highly
so
doubt
terrible.
it, but you never know.
Yeah,
All got to start somewhere.
it's true. Remember,
Wait.
Tarantino hated his first film. He burnt it. So remember that.
Yeah, Edgar Wright's first film, it sucks.
Yeah, so just remember this. It could be the worst film from the best director in the world.
Probably not.
And you said
but
they
who
were trying to
knows?
like mimic Gaspar Noé, but at least he's trying. There's like a scene in
Yeah.
Enter the Void, which we talked about, where like it's like straight up from the inside of a woman, and like you see a dick enter it, and it's hilarious. But it's like even that like in that one shot, there's more creativity and like awareness of what they're creating than was
That's
in this
fucking
entire
grim.
movie.
Love has multiple sequences of full porn, like just kept the main characters having like sex, and you see literally everything, and that was more artistic and interesting than anything in this.
So gross. I am a child.
Yeah.
Yeah, that film was kind of gross, to be honest.
A better movie, perhaps trying to tackle something to do with like LGBTQ plus and showing that kind of world in a more liberating and more self-aware way, I would say would probably be like Short Bus. Watch Short Bus. I don't love that movie, but it's a lot better than this. I feel like a
I've
lot
never
more
seen
people
it.
would get more out of it than I did.
Yeah, I would highly recommend. There's a film from 2019 called And Then We Danced, it was directed in Georgia, I believe. And that film was also made and set in a place where like being gay is still like a really shunned upon thing. It's not like an illegal thing, but if you're gay, then you basically have no life. And that film's all about self-discovery and accepting like your sexuality and coming to terms with it and falling in love with someone. And that film is beautiful and really powerful and so tender and incredibly well made. And I think that does like what this film kind of seems to be trying to do so much better in every single way.
Yes. Do better next time. I think we can get on to the ratings.
Yeah. What are we going to rate this one out of?
D. Antwoods.
D. Antwoods. Russian
Sure.
D. Antwoods.
I'm pretty sure it's D. Antvord or something. I've
D. Antword.
pronounced differently.
whatever, I don't
but
know.
there you go.
Yeah, this film sucks. It's so badly made. And I think what makes it even worse, past the fact it's so badly made, is just how like mean-spirited and offensive it is. And like, yeah, I'm not someone who normally gets offended by stuff, but this film just really rubbed me the wrong way, as I'm sure it would do anyone in the LGBTQ community or anyone generally who watches it. I'd give it like a 1 D'Antfords out of 10, and that's like a very generous one. This is one of the worst films we've talked about.
Yeah. I don't give zeros. I give a 1 for like, congratulations, you made a movie and I saw it. But yeah, this sucked. It is like, it was pretty funny at the time, but it did piss me off, and I kind of just forgot about it afterwards. Yeah, don't watch it, please. Don't watch it. 1 D'Antwoord, Russian D'Antwoord out of 10.
Well, Letterboxd only gives you the option to do half a star. But do you know what? I kind of blame myself in a way, because I'm the one that chose this piece of shit, okay?
Yeah, I blame you.
I honestly had good intentions. I really thought there was going to be some nice commentary about how, like, it's all right to be gay in Russia. It's cool, guys. It's fine. Be accepted like the rest of most of the Western world or whatever. Well, most of it, like I say. Like, it's fine. And then I watched it. It made me laugh in places because it was so ridiculously...
Mm.
Do you know what? I'm not even going to justify it. I'm giving it a 0. Fuck it. 0.
Brilliant.
As it deserves.
As it deserves. Definitely. Well, that's that then. The Russian movies out with a bang. We did it.
Woo!
There was like an interesting mix of films. I feel like this is actually kind of better than having like 3 great movies or 3 bad movies. This is like an interesting variety.
Yeah, I like having one at the end where we can just shit all over it.
Yeah.
It's always good. It's always fun.
Oh,
So-
I'm waiting. Spin
Yeah.
the wheel, spin the wheel.
Brilliant. We're going to do the next episode 40. We'll make it. It's episode
And
40. We've been doing it for 40 years.
And
So
it's going to
which-
be about...
What's it about? What are we
Who?
going to do it on?
It's a director special.
Oh, yeah.
Alfonso Cuaron.
Who's that?
Oh,
So, do we want to do his 3 most popular films on Letterboxd?
I just want to do like, we each pick a movie.
Yeah,
Fine.
we're all going to pick a film each, are we?
Yeah, we could do that. I love Alfonso.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I've never heard of him.
Obviously, we won't
obviously.
pick his Harry Potter movie.
Wait, he's got Harry...
what
was
did
he
we
the,
could?
Did he
He
do
did
the
Prisoner
Beast
of
film?
Azkaban.
What?
He did the best one.
No fucking
And then he
way.
bounced.
That is actually the best one. I don't even like them
It
films.
is.
So yeah,
I'm going to look him up. I'm looking him up
that's
right
it.
now.
Tune in next week. We're going to do 3 Alfonso Cuaron movies. It's going to be great. But not Prisoner of Azkaban. So
And hopefully no one picks Gravity, because I don't like that movie.
Gravity. Nah, you wouldn't get that from me anyway.
That's,
Don't you worry.
yeah, I don't really like that movie. So that's why I'm going to choose
Oh.
Gravity. So yeah, brilliant. Tune in for that. Obviously, we've got, which I think I forgot to mention in the last episode, but episode 45, 6 episodes from now, we're doing a show. We're doing season 1 of Chappelle's Show, so make sure to watch that. We also have our social media accounts. If you haven't noticed, maybe you're listening to it on YouTube right now, then you would know that the YouTube name is the Sunday Movie Marathon. Pretty straightforward. And hey, if you haven't given the Twitter a follow, that's at Sunday Movie Pod. And Facebook, raring to go, at Sunday Movie Marathon. And then if you are on Letterboxd, which I know everybody is, it is at Sunday MM, capital S, capital M. Wonderful. Russian movies. I would have learned Russian, but I did not have the time, and we could have done it all in Russian.
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time we'll do the Alfonso Cuaron movies in Russian. Be ready for that. Yeah. Great. See you next week. Bye.
I'm
There's only Metro, nothing else.